Hello, welcome to another listening of Book Talk here on 95.1. I'm your host, James Chatham. Today I have the lovely Cassandra Clare, author of the Mortal Instruments series, here, and we'll be discussing the first edition of the series, City of Bones, which is a New York Times bestseller. How are you? I'm doing pretty good. How about you? I'm well, thanks for asking. So, Miss Clare, let's talk about your book. I read it recently, and I noted that you use very descriptive words and phrases in great detail in your writing. Why is that? Well, so that the readers can visualize everything perfectly, of course. I've noted that while reading through books from other authors, that though they do describe things and events with care, they sometimes leave things in the air for interpretation, which can sometimes make it hard for readers to fully see it and visualize it perfectly, and it can pull you out of the moment. I want my readers to feel like they are there, right next to Clare in the club, able to hear the music and feel the atmosphere, feel the air and smells, and be able to feel all five of their senses in work while they're there reading. Very intriguing. I've also noticed that Clare isn't your typical girl, not in the supernatural sense, of course, but rather she's very headstrong and shows more characteristics of a boy. What made you write her like that? I wanted her to be the heroine, because typically in books of this genre, it's the males who steal the show. There aren't enough books where the central character is not just a girl, but also her own person and not fitting the usual molds. It's ironic, really. She's one of my most misunderstood characters. Interesting. So, is she or any other characters modeled after people you know? Not really. My characters are created purely for the story. Sure, I've given some of them attributes of people I've met, like Clare's artistic side, and some minor players like Eric and Matt are based off of old friends of mine, but they are their own person. Jace, for example, he's not based on anyone real. Funny you say that, as there's rumors floating around the net that he's based on a character from another famous author. Care to comment on this? Yeah, there's some credibility to that. I used to write Harry Potter fanfiction, and my twist on Draco's character started poking through when I was writing the Mortal Instruments, such as the event when his father is making him raise a falcon only to kill it. I will say that my Draco that I wrote isn't the same one as that's featured in J.K. Rowling's series. So, on that note, are there any other authors from whom you draw inspiration from? I'm influenced by other urban fantasy of what I consider the genre's golden age. Authors such as Terry Weidling, Midori Snyder, as well as newer ones who are taking it into a darker side, like Scott Westerfeld. I noted while reading that despite your descriptive language that we discussed earlier, the work sometimes comes off like it was written by someone of less experience. The grammar is not as refined in places. Was this intentional? Yes. I wrote it as if I was Clary. As if I was experiencing the same things as she. She's younger. Thus, she would have a totally different writing style than if it was from the perspective of, say, her mother. But she's also an artist, which is another reason why I'm so detailed in my writing. So, you really get into touch with your characters while you're writing? Yes. I think it's important to do that as a writer, because that way you're fully invested in the work and you know what you're doing is to the best of your ability. I know that the Mortal Instruments is directed towards teens. Does this line of thinking come in handy when writing to your demographic? Most definitely. I found that other young adult writers, they often fall into the trap of talking down to their audience. I don't view teens as a different species like others adults, or dumber than adults. They're just as smart as we are. They just have different wants and concerns. I'm curious. Where did you first get the idea for the series? Oh, that's simple. I was in a tattoo shop a few years back, and I thought to myself, it'd be kind of cool if there were magical tattoos. The idea bounced around for a few weeks, and I decided to expand on it. After that, the characters just came to me. And although it took about 2 to 3 years for me to fully develop the universe in which they live. you stated earlier that you started out writing fan fiction. Do you believe that fan fiction is good practice for aspiring writers? Yes and no. Simply writing in general is good practice. If writing is fanfic is what you want to do and what you are good at and what you enjoy, do it. But if you've got your own ideas for what you want to do that. Don't do things just because you think that it's the best way to go. Because sometimes it's not. Everyone's different. Just write. Any final words to your fans? Thank you all for your support. I'm so grateful to you all, and I'm always willing to interact with you and hear your thoughts. For those who want to be a writer, never give up. You've got writer's block? Try going about it from a different angle. Not getting the response you want? Ask for help. Don't let some obstacles keep you from achieving your dreams. And with that, we're done. Thank you again, Cassandra Clare, for coming in on the show. Thank you for having me. Tune in next week for another book talk on 95.1.